Hey, what's up? Welcome back to another awesome episode of the Life in Air Show podcast. I'm your host, Jason Wojo. On the Life in Air Show, we help people create businesses and lives they love. I am joined by my co-host, Polish Peter. Bro, we got an awesome episode today, man.
Yes, we do. And I think it's fitting because we are at the end of 2024. Who would have thunk it's already the end of
Dude, crazy.
2024?
Yeah.
It is crazy, man. It went by very fast. So we recently just did, for those of you who know about it, heard about it. If you haven't heard about it, I don't know, you're living under the rock. But we had a business builder workshop, virtual business builder workshop in December now. And it was an amazing event. A lot of people get some really good breakthroughs for themselves and their businesses. And we figure we talk a little bit about that in this particular episode.
Yeah, man. So let me give you some context here. So Life in Air has two events. You know, as I mentioned in the intro, Life in Air Show is about helping you create both a life and business you love. And, you know, the context around that is we have two events to help you do that. The first one is called the Get a Life Getaway, and that one we focus exclusively on your personal vision and help you make sure you're living the life that you want to live, not the one that somebody else says you should live or you think you're supposed to live, that others want for you. And we spend a whole lot of time, 3 days, to go through and identify that. And now the corollary, the sister event to that is the Business Builder Workshop, where we exclusively talk about business and how do you create a business to give you the life that you just identified at the Get a Life Getaway. And so we had this virtual event. We now, most of our events are in person, man. And this one was virtual. And this allowed a lot of people to attend that otherwise aren't able to travel or don't want to travel. Although I actually really enjoy being in person, personally more than over a video screen. But hey, it was still super impactful and amazing. And so if you haven't been to either of these events, get to them for sure. Look on the lifeinair.com website to see upcoming events when they're listed. We'll be releasing these here very shortly. And so let's talk about, man, the top. So by the way, this took a little bit here because there's so many great lessons that came out of the event and so many shares, but we distilled it down to our top three ones that I think will be most impactful for you, the listener, right now, to look at your own business and incorporate this into the way you conduct, structure, run, and run your do things in your business. And so what is the first one, Peter?
Yeah, I mean, if you incorporate those three things, I think your business is going to be thriving in 2025. So number one, the biggest one that we've seen a lot is people do not have a vision for their business. That is the biggest, like one of the things that we talk about at the Business Builder event is writing a vision for your business. And most people don't do it. And it's crazy. Like I remember my first business, I never wrote it because one, personally, I wasn't even aware that there was such a thing as business vision. So that was just ignorant in that area, right?
Well, but yeah, and let's just, dude, what is a business vision? How would you describe that to someone? Because like someone's gonna say, like, well, hold on, I have a vision. I want to make $1 million. I want to have 10 employees. I want to have whatever. Like, what is a business vision? Like, let's help people there right there.
Right. So most people, I think what they do is they write what's called a business plan, right? It's very kind of a professional and it's very kind of stringent on because based on the best, standards that have been passed on and on and on and on, but when we talk about the business vision, we're literally talking about what do you want your business to ultimately look like? Like you put yourself into the future on picturing what this business is going to look like, and you write out on one piece of paper, one page of what this business looks like. And we're talking about in the way we help people do this, create this, you write in the present tense, write what you do want as opposed to what you don't want. And we kind of help you guys figure out what some of the categories, right? So categories could include what the relationships look like, right? What are your relationships look like, let's say, with your employees, with your customers, with your clients, with your vendors, with partners, whatever it might be, right? So relationship. We talk about spirituality. So for instance, like you guys know that those who've been listening to this particular podcast, that Life on Air is based on spiritual principles, right? We're a Christian company. So that is big part of Life on Air and their vision, Life on Air's vision, to be able to have the spiritual aspects in our vision. What does that look like? We pray basically before we do any events, right? We pray, and whenever we feel like there is a big decisions need to be made, right? So those aspects. Then we have charity. Maybe you have a charity that you want to support. What does that look like in the future? What is those charitable organization? What's your relationships with them? There is so many your personal like income. What are the
Yeah.
profits? Those kinds of things. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, so yeah, let's double click here for a second. So like when you say what does your business look like, that does not just mean how much revenue or profit you make.
Right.
And a business vision gives you a more comprehensive, a much deeper picture of all of the aspects of business that can contribute to your vision is. And so, for instance, like Peter mentioned, if spirituality and your faith is important to you, can you find a way to incorporate that in your business? If if relationships are something you want to encapsulate into your business, like what does that actually look like? How about if you how much time do you want to spend in your business? You can absolutely include how much money you want to make or financial metrics, and maybe it's not how much money you make, but how much money you are left with, or maybe it's you have goals for the amount of money in the bank, or you want to look at margins. You really are looking at a deep level, like what is the business all about? Who do you serve? What's the impact you want to leave? How do you want the business to be kind of perceived and remembered? And so all of these things, like if you're familiar with the concept of a personal vision, it's the corollary to that. It's exact translation from what you want in your personal life to business, because I think the biggest mistake you can make is thinking that the only purpose, now, by the way, a hugely important purpose is to make money, but it's a mistake to think that's the only purpose of the business, because it's not. Because you can make all the money in the world, hate what you do, don't find any fulfillment in it, and it's not going to be as rosy as you think it is. It's not going to be as enjoyable as you think it is. So when you can take all of these different components of things that are important to you, and again, my suggestion is get to a Get a Life Getaway to find out this on a personal level. It's the easiest way. You don't have
Mhm.
to, but it's the easiest way. And then just simply translate that to business and find the applications to satisfy those needs through your work. That's a business vision.
Yeah, the other thing I would add to that is, this is how I look at from my personal experience when it comes to the business vision, is when you write all of this stuff out, right? And by the way, relationship, then it's going to be a big part of your vision because you can't do business without relationships, right? So when you incorporate all of these different things in there, and you write, let's say we write out who's my perfect client in there, you add that in there, so you're clear on that. What's going to happen is few things out of that. One, it's going to help you give you some kind of a destination that you're going through. What does that mean? That means that when you have a destination that you're going through, all the noise, all the distractions, all the squirrels out there in the world, because let's say even just in the space of marketing, you can market the business in 20,000 different ways. So all that stuff gets sort of pushed aside, eliminated, so it doesn't distract you. It actually helps you grow your business in a more efficient, simple, right? And very determined, intentional way. So that's one thing that happens. Second thing that happens, I think, actually, too, is in order for you to be able to grow that business, if you're a single owner operator kind of a thing, LLC or whatever it might be, the question becomes this, and I would encourage you to put that on your vision as well. In order for that company to run, to be that way, to get to that particular point, who do I need to become? What kind of a leader do I need to become in order to get that business to that particular point? Because you have to become a certain type of leader, owner of that business to be able to get there. So that becomes a question that helps you clarify, well, who do I need to grow as a leader, as a business owner? Add that to your vision as well, because that
Yeah.
is going to give you some clarity. Because in the next 2 months or 6 months or in a year, well, somebody comes out with the most best, the shiniest, whatever thing may be, it's not going to get you off your vision. And I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of business owners struggle, is because they don't have a vision. So basically, they sometimes go around in circles, they get distracted, they get pulled over here, pulled over there, and they are not moving forward. It feels like they're moving forward, but actually going around in circles, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, man. And along those lines is like part of your vision is like, what do you actually do in the business? Like, what is
Yeah.
your role in the business? How do you fit into the business? Yeah. So you need a business vision, and we help you with this, the Business Builder Workshop. So number two, what's number two, man?
Number two, I just got a brain fart, but I will go with the fact
It's
that, oh, you know what?
believe.
Yes. So this part of the brain fart. Okay. Limiting beliefs. a lot of people in this business builder workshop, any business builder workshop that we do, we've noticed a lot of limiting beliefs, the mind shift stuff that needs to happen in order for businesses to grow. Because here's the thing, if you are the leader in that business, what ends up happening is how quickly, how efficiently this business is running depends a lot about who you are as a person. So if you, for instance, we experience a lot of people who basically have been running a business for quite a while, and there's still a single owner person. There's one person in the company. They don't have any assistants. They don't have anybody to help them. If they're a real estate investor, they can't find the right contractor. They can't find the right, agent or whatever it might be. And it's all the kind of stuff. And we start asking questions, deeper questions to look for the problem underneath the problem. We start to find out that the beliefs are something along the lines of nobody can do it as good as me, right? Can't find
Well,
anybody good.
yeah, man. But
Okay,
listen,
stuff.
like you're giving examples of in one particular area, like, when it comes to like working with people and finding the right help and things like that. But there's also a much more global or expanded view of limiting beliefs as well. So for instance, some people you could start off as early as, is business slimy? Is sales slimy? Am I worth making money? Am I worthy of success? Um, is because some people literally have a hang up about charging money for things
Mm-hmm.
and they feel slimy about it. And you can start there and you can address like, hey, at every level of business, again, starting from the top and working all the way through to working with people like Peter mentioned, or even like, hey, using AI is cheating, or this is, this is not something I should be diving into, or I can't use it, or I can't benefit from it. Like, you can look at literally every part of business and find a limiting belief, right? And
Yeah.
so this the reason why this is important to bring up is because we can share with you and show you all the strategies and tactics and things that have worked for other people, but you will fail to either use them or you won't be successful with them because you'll sabotage yourself if you don't have the right mindset first. And so this is and listen, I know it feels kind of fluffy and like new agey, but like I'm telling you, it really does start here. Um, and not shooting yourself in the foot like, "Oh, I don't have the education or I don't have the experience or no one in my family was an entrepreneur or I'm too old or I'm too young or no one's gonna listen to me or I'm black, I'm white, I'm insert your own, origin, economic standing,
Polish.
education level." Like, yeah, nationality, like, it doesn't matter, like,
Yeah.
all of these things. And by the way, I'm not saying that there's not an ounce of truth perhaps to any of these, but how does that help you to think that this is gonna, to focus on here rather than break through these and address them and decide that you're gonna do it anyway, or these things are completely false to begin with. Like whether there's an ounce of truth or they're completely false, or maybe they're super true. Like maybe you don't have the education. So what? Like let's fix it, right? Let's still do this. It doesn't mean you're not able to be successful. And so you got to start with the limiting belief stuff.
Yeah, I think it's such an important part. I think when it comes to success in the business, probably 90% of that is relied what's going on between the 2 years. Not only for you, but if you have employees, that includes your employees or managers, whoever you have in there, a lot of it has to do with this. Now, here's the thing I want you to consider this. If your business is not working, or parts of the business is not working, or not working as well as you would like it to, consider that the reason that there is a limiting belief there. Start questioning that, start asking that question, start probing that, start finding out, figuring out what is the problem underneath the problem, right? So you can uncover that limiting belief, because once you uncover that limiting belief, it gives you some power. It allows you to be able to go and say, is this really true? That is, like for instance, I don't have education. Well, yeah, maybe I haven't gone to college, but guess what? I've been doing this business for the last 2 years. So I've learned crap load of lessons out of that that has helped me get to this particular level. So I have some experience. I have some things. So now you can kind of rewire it and go and moving forward in the business. So I mean, there's
Well,
so many ways of doing this. But yeah, just consider there's limiting beliefs there.
Well, let's also realize, like, so for instance, you're Polish. I'm Polish. I'm actually
You're a
born
Polish
here.
wannabe, okay? Let's be
All
honest.
right.
Okay, the only thing Polish about you is your last name, okay?
So listen though, that there could be people who could look at you, Peter, and say like, well, he has an accent, like, and have some predetermined stereotypes about you,
Yeah. Mhm.
right? They
Yeah,
could.
yeah.
They could. The thing why I'm saying,
Well, myself back in the
well,
day.
right. And so this is what I'm saying though, like there could be an ounce of truth to these things. And by the way, sometimes there's not, most times there's not. If there's an ounce of truth, tell me how you've been able to be successful still. Like what did you do? Because this is a lesson as to how do you get past limiting beliefs. Like what did you actually do to decide, like, are you just like, I don't care, I'm gonna do it anyway? Or you're like, I'm gonna get even better so that my skill set is so far beyond reproach that they have no option but to reckon with me and recognize that I know what I'm talking about. Like how to, but I guess what I'm saying is like you found a way to harness it and help you be more successful rather than let it hold you back.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's the good looks. I mean, that's how that'll help me. You know what I mean?
Okay, we're not covering delusional beliefs here. We're talking about limiting beliefs.
Just limiting beliefs. Obviously, that's not limiting me at all. Right? No, but listen, well, I need to calm down a little bit now. Okay, but listen, on the serious side of things, it's this, because when you talk about the accent, because that was limiting me for a very long time. I've been to any of the 3-day events that we've done, whether it's a Gale Live or Business Bowl, we talk about it quite often because that was a very limiting thing for me. So what I did for my own self is, okay, I'm looking at this as a weakness, right? So how could I transform this area and look at it from the perspective as a strength? How can I turn that into a strength? How can I evolve from that? How can I grow from that? How can I learn from that? And all those kinds of things. And when I started doing that, all of a sudden I found ways of using, for instance, my accent to my advantage. I mean, if you look at the like here, even we make fun of it, love it, let's do it, right? We start to use it. I use it from the perspective of now when I speak, in order for people to listen to me, I need to say some really good things, like some impactful things, so I provide a lot more value. And by doing that, they're curiously listening to actually figure out what I'm saying, right? So it's both ways. So I'm using it as a strength. And when I start looking from other aspects of it, like look at some of the most successful people out there, how many of them have accents? Well, if they done it, maybe I can do it too, right? So there's a lot of those different things that you turn into a strength that can help you move forward in life.
Dude, I have to pause there for a second because like you said something so important, which never happens. And so I really want to
Never, right? That's what the good looks can come gets in the way.
you said take this disadvantage and turn it into an advantage. And so for instance, hey, you have an accent. Good. Well, that means that I'm gonna stand apart from everybody else and I'm not gonna sound like everyone else and I'm gonna be unique and different. You don't have a business education. Good. That means you don't have to unlearn all the things that you learned the wrong way so you can do it the right way right from the beginning.
Right.
Like, I'm too old. Good. That means you have life experiences that these young guys have no clue about, and you have a full swath of things that you can choose from when you can now connect with people who have been through the things you've been through that these kids can't relate to. So like, this is what I'm saying. Like this is the magic, man, of twisting that to your advantage rather than letting it remain a disadvantage.
So how do you personally turn your weakness, because there's so much there, into advantage? I mean, um, how do you actually
That's a whole season.
whole episode? Yeah. So
yeah.
if anybody's interested, let's reach out to us and tell us we need to shoot an episode about that.
Right. So, all right, bro, we got the last one. Last one. Working on the wrong thing in your business at the wrong time. Bro.
Yeah, that happens a lot. I mean, I've had conversation with some of my students, especially when they're coming into a group and we start talking about it, and they said, "Well, listen, I need help. I need somebody else to. I need to hire an assistant. I need to hire this." And they're looking at their business, and they got no money. So how are you going to do that, right? So there's so many different ways that you are looking from the perspective of doing the wrong thing at the wrong time, and that is one of the, I think, biggest reasons why businesses struggle to grow, because what they perceive is to be doing at the time There actually is now what's supposed to happen in time. And I think one of the reasons for that to happen is because people look at the gurus, people look at what the gurus are doing and all that kind of stuff. And the gurus are, let's say, saying A, B, C, D. So they're like, okay, I need to do A, B, C, D. But they're not looking from their own perspective where they're at in the business, if that makes any sense. Like, at the beginning, when you start in the business, you got to buckle down and you got to just go money, revenue generating,
Well,
revenue generating activities.
this is where I think there's a general misconception of what it takes to be successful in business, and it is very much a stepwise process, and there is a sequence to it, and we teach this at the event, and like you gotta sequentially look at, for instance, like you mentioned, revenue first, then we look at profitability, and then after that we look at systemization processes. And I've seen people come up to me and they're like, they haven't made $1 in their business, and they're like, "Oh, I'm really working on like on systemizing this and adding like the automation." I'm like, "Whoa, bro, like hold up,
Yeah.
hold up. You haven't made any money yet. Like let's like they're like, "Oh, I want to make sure it's scalable." I'm like, "What?
You
No."
haven't proved whether this business works.
Right. Like, so you gotta take it in order. The other thing, I think the reason why people work on the wrong thing at the wrong time is distractions and what's sexy. And sometimes it's like, hey, what's easy? Working on your website instead of negotiating deals and talking to prospects. Doing the things that really aren't moving the needle so we can feel like we're productive in business when in fact we're just wasting our time and we're pretending to be business owners. Like that's the other thing too, is like, are you working on the right things and when I say the right things, that's the highest leverage activity that can move the needle the most, right? Like what does the business need right now? Not tomorrow, not a week or a year from today, but like right now. What is the bottleneck? What is the constraint in your business that if you have to fully focus and double down in this one single area and not dilute your focus among a half dozen or a dozen different tasks, all of which are just getting like half, you're half button it. Um, and nothing's really getting accomplished, and you're not moving the needle. You're not getting any closer to your goals.
Yeah. And I think so. Here's the interesting thing that just popped into my head as you're sharing this is this. If you really think about this, those three different areas that we just talked about at this particular podcast, not having a vision, the limiting beliefs, and now working in the wrong thing at the wrong time, they are all intertwined. They are all work with each other or against each other, depending what you're doing. So think about it this way. How would I know whether or not I'm working in the right thing at the right time or I'm working the wrong thing at the right time? Well, if you look at your vision, if you had one, then you will start to discover that one of the things that you should be focusing on is because it's revenue generating activities, because that's where I'm at in my business. Let's say this is where you're at in business, right? Revenue generating activities. So then you start asking, okay, so that's what it should be. So what does that mean? If I'm a real estate investor, I should probably be reaching out, making deals happen, making phone calls, whatever. Why am I not doing this? Well, if I'm really thinking about it, if I'm honest with myself, the reason why I'm not doing this is because I hate doing cold calling. Why do I hate doing cold calling? Well, because I don't like people yelling at me. Why don't I like people yelling at me? Because then that means that I'm not good enough and blah, blah, blah. Notice how we're talking about limiting beliefs all of a sudden, right? So all these things are interconnected. So if you just sit down and now it's the end of the year and you start writing all this stuff out, you can set yourself up for 2025 like you would not believe. Just figure out writing on your vision and then working on what are the limiting beliefs that I have within myself or for myself about my business, for my business. And then am I working on the right things in the right time? If you just focus on those three things, I think you will be able to go and recreate or start working on your business in a much more impactful way in 2025.
Totally, totally. All right, man. Well, listen, we're gonna recap. Number one, business vision, the importance and the cruciality. Cruciality?
Cruciality.
Use it.
Nothing like complexifying the word crucial, but okay, cruciality. I have to put the
How
mental note, cruciality. All right.
cruciality of this in structuring and having a business that is fulfilling and creates for the finances and lifestyle you want. Number two, overcoming
We're coming in.
con-
All right.
overcoming like I don't dude like I don't know what's wrong with my mouth today. And overcoming those, harnessing those, turning the disadvantages into advantages, and lastly is working on the right thing at the right time in your business. If you simply do these three things, your business, your life will be dramatically different. It will look nothing like it is now. It doesn't happen overnight. If you want us to help you through this and get more in depth, then come join us at a Business Builder workshop. If you don't have a vision yet, come join us at a Get a Life Getaway, because these are the events that will help you get there. Listen, we hope you've enjoyed this episode. We hope that this is something that you take to heart and you implement in your life and business. And if you think of someone in your life that needs to share this right now, please share it with them. And we will see you next week, everyone. Take care.